And the Super Bowl winners are the Rapid City Elks. Now, the reason why there's no gameplay for this game was because we'd been user versus user of me versus my buddy. And the difference in skill between me and him is a sizable gap, so initially we wanted to watch the game happen. But since it's user versus user, we can't slow sim the game, or at least for what I know. So we ended up going with what we thought was fair, which was just simming the game. And so the Rapid City Elk win 22-18 against the Boulder Pandas. Jalen Milroe, 243 passing yards and a touchdown, while Max Dugan has 211 and 2 interceptions after being sacked 9 times. Aston Genty gets a rushing touchdown, but there wasn't really much running game for either team, including running back Audric Estime getting a rushing touchdown, but only having 0 rushing yards. Receiving, Xavier Worthy, 7 catches for 89 yards. Hawkinson, 7 for 83. Yeah, Washington, 5 for 53. Receiving touchdown to Brashard Smith, though, on his 2 catches for 21 yards. While defensively, you see, Christian Wilkins, 2.5 sacks, 1.5 for Jack Sawyer, Junior Colson, Savion Jones, and then halves for D. Winters, Zal Frazier, Hugh Robinson, and Fadil Diggs. Now, if you're looking at it and you're like, well, the math doesn't add up, that's not 9 sacks. That's because Von Miller ends up retiring after this game, and he had 4 sacks on his way to win the Super Bowl MVP. The interceptions went to Junior Colson and Dorian Williams. While kicking, both kickers were perfect. Punting, however, looks like Rigoberto Sanchez was outdone by Riley Dixon. So, the Super Bowl champions for the year 1 is going to be the Rapid City Elk. Sorry we couldn't get any gameplay for it due to how we decided to play it out. And here for the overall league awards, you see Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP. Overall MVP, Xavier Worthy. Coach of the year goes to Mr. Bentley. While Offensive Player of the Year goes to Xavier Worthy, Defensive Player of the Year goes to Tyree Wilson of the Pandas. And then Offensive Rookie of the Year is Jalen Milroe for the Elks, and the Defensive Rookie of the Year is Jack Sawyer for the Elks. So the Elks almost clean sweep all the awards here, except for no one could match Tyree Wilson's insane season. And so here we are taking a look at the Pro Bowlers for both sides. We'll start going over the NFC and the AFC. Will be second. NFC, your quarterbacks are going to be Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow. Running backs, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, and Jonathan Taylor. Fullbacks are Kyle Juszczyk. Well, receivers, you have Stephon Diggs, George Pickens, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Parker Washington as your 4 receivers. 2 tight ends are Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram, while your O-line is going to be Tristan Wirfs and Deion Dawkins at left tackle, Isaac Seumalo and Peter Skoronski at left guard, Eric McCoy and Zach Frazier at center. Right guard's going to be Cody Mock and Tyler Booker, while right tackle is Lane Johnson and Taylor Moton. Edge is going to be Aiden Hutchinson, Greg Rousseau, Josh Hines-Allen, and Josh Sweat, while defensive tackle is Vita Vea, Jonathan Allen, and Jalen Carter. Linebackers, you got Leo Chanel, Dennis Gardick, Bobby Okereke, Trevin Wallace, Frankie Louvu, and Quay Walker. Corners are going to be Drew Phillips, Marcus Jones, Christian Fulton, and Nate Hobbs. Safeties, Cole Bishop, Malik Hooker, Tyke Smith, and Derwin James. While your special teamers are going to be Eddie Pinheiro, Logan Cook, James Winchester, with returners of Antonio Gibson and Gabe Davis. Well, in the AFC, quarterbacks, Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, and Sam Darnold. Running backs are going to be Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, James Cook, with your fullback being British Brooks. Receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, Jamison Williams, Curtis Samuel, and Keenan Allen. While tight ends are going to be Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren. Your O-line from left to right, Rashawn Slater and Trent Williams, Tyler Smith, Damian Lewis, Drew Dahlman, Connor Beebe, Chris Lindstrom, and Kevin Zeitler, and Brian O'Neill and Armand Membu. Edges are going to be Max Crosby and Trayvon Walker for the left, and Byron Young and Harold Landry for the right, with defensive tackles being DeForest Buckner, Zach Allen, and Kobe Turner. Linebackers are going to be Javon Baker, Derek Barnes, Terrell Bernard, Tremaine Edmonds, Kazir White, Alex Anzalone, with corners of Jalen Johnson, Greg Newsome, Sean Murphy-Bunting, and Benjamin Morrison. Safeties are Ronnie Hickman and Marcus Williams at free safety, Taylor Rapp and C.J. Gardner-Johnson at strong safety, and your special teams are going to be Daniel Carlson, A.J. Cole, Morgan Cox, Tre'Davious White, and Isaiah Bond as returners. So for retirements, I'm just going to go team by team, so that way we can see all the main players that are not going to be back in the league next year. For the Bison, I mean, Tyrod Taylor is pretty much the most notable name here. For the Colliers, Graham Gano and Kevin Byard had pretty good years. For the Crocs, they didn't have anyone retire. The Crusaders are now without Brendan McManus. The Frost lose James Bradbury, Gus Edwards, and their long snapper. The Gladiators have a couple decent ones. You got Tony Jefferson, Keenan Allen, and Joel Bitonio, all were big impact players, with Johnny Hecker, their punter. And then Jawar Jordan retires after only 2 seasons in a surprise. For the Hounds, they lose 2 defensive tackles that both had pretty good years, Shelby Harris and DeForest Buckner. The Oilers lose Sterling Shepard, their kicker, Nick Folk. Kyle Juszczyk's a big name, and Darius Williams, one of their corners. While the Ironclads lose 2 middle linebackers, Levante David and Eric Hendricks, and Tyler Higbee, I believe, was their backup tight end. For the Nighthawks, the big surprise, you see Mike Evans choose to hang it up after suffering a season-ending injury early in the year. While the Kraken are without DeAndre Hopkins and Jimmy Ward, which I think if DeAndre Hopkins stuck around for another season, he would have had an insane paycheck from a team after the season that he had. For the Lynx, they're now without Neems Miller-Hines, Cody Whitehair, Demario Davis, Geno Smith, Lane Johnson, Mitch Wisnowski. I mean, the Lynx I believe, had the most retirements out of any team. Maybe the Outriders are right up there with them. Jadeveon Clowney, Deshaun Watson, Shaq Mason, Rob Hafstein, and Justin Simmons are all notable names. Paddleheads are now without 2 tackles, DJ Humphries and Taylor Moton. The Pandas lose their left tackles, Garrett Bowles and Kelvin Beachum, are not able to retire on top, but they did make the Super Bowl. Peaks are now without Cam Fleming. The Pharaohs, you see Jonathan Hankins, Case Keenum, Taysom Hill, and David Onyemata. For our Elks, it's David Questenberry, who is just signed to be a backup. He's got the 2 backup quarterbacks in Joe Flacco and Nathan Peterman. The solid returner in Jakeem Grant and long snapper Tyler Ott, and then Super Bowl MVP Von Miller retires on top. While the Rhinos, you see Raheem Mossert and Mike Hilton, Carson Wentz, a couple backup type players. Riptides are now without David Andrews and Cam Jordan, who had a solid year. And the Roosters, you see Chris Boswell, Kyle Vanoy, Stephon Gilmore, and Khalil Mack, all really big impact players. For the Rough Riders, you have Brunskill, Deshaun Gibson, and Harrison Smith. Joe Tooney retires. For the Sabercats, you see Devondre Campbell and Larry Ogunjobi. Samurais, you see Leonard Floyd's now gone, Andy Dalton. Travis Kelce retires for the Sandcrawlers, and another big name no longer going to be around. La'el Collins, Austin Eckler, Matt Prater, Tyler Lockett, Trent Williams to the Sharks, so they're now looking to help fix that offensive line. For the Souls, you see Morgan Moses and Grover Stewart, Grover had an insane year. He could have had a big contract. And then Demarcado, after 3 seasons, retires. Kalan Layburn, after 3 years, retires. Ty Chandler, after 4, retires. You see Tress Way, Khalif Raymond, the long snapper, Zach Ertz, and Bobby Wagner all retire. For the Stallions, you get Hayden Hurst, Matt Judon, Calais Campbell, Grady Jarrett, Cam Hayward, a lot of defensive tackles. The Stallions are going to need to figure that out in this offseason. Stampede only lose their long snapper. For the Storm Ducks, Aaron Rodgers is done and Andrew Wiley. And then for the Tridents, it's Darius Slay and Dennis Gardick. So there are a lot of big names that are retiring that teams are going to need to figure out how to replace those impacts. All right. So here we are, end of free agency, going over some of the free agent additions. For the Elk, we add Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, Donovan Edwards at running back. We get a receiver in Isaiah Bond. Tight end, Justin Fields is making a transition to tight end as quarterback has not worked out for him in the league. And then we also ended up getting, I believe, a long snapper, Rex Sunahara. Well, the top free agents, you see Malik Willis to the Pharaohs, a couple backup quarterbacks. I mean, Vegas gets Dylan Gabriel. Just some backup quality quarterbacks. Cam Scatabo also goes to the Pharaohs to join Patrick Mahomes, meaning Malik Willis is Mahomes' backup. Sampson to the Riptide, R.J. Harvey to the Stampede, Caleb Johnson, Bison. You got Jordan James to the Sentinels. Keaton Mitchell to the Hounds, I think is going to be an impact. And some more backup quality guys. Alec Ayomanart is the top receiver, so you're not really seeing anyone too big get moved. Same thing with tight end. I mean, Terrence Ferguson, Jatavian Sanders changing teams. O-line, there wasn't really any great players out here across the offensive line that are moving. I think that Jermaine Lanamore is probably the best lineman here. For defensive line, there's just no left edges signed. Defensive tackle was pretty weak. I mean, Darius Robinson probably is the guy I would have gone after if I was going to. Right edge, also kind of weak. Linebackers, not really much out of Tatum Bethune, in my opinion. Yeah, Cody Simon. For corners, a couple older guys, and then Jalen Smith. So mainly just backup rotational guys. Ronnie Hickman, though, might be the starter for the Oilers. Quan Martin might be starting for the Crusaders. And then you got some more backup quality, some older guys, some younger guys. Defense, strong safety, Kobe Bryant, Craig Woodson. Kickers, you saw there was a decent amount of retirements at kickers, so there's going to be some new kickers going around. And if anyone's over 40, that was just, I tried to get them to retire, and they just didn't. Matt Hawk, and then Chris Stoll. So, not really a big free agency, but Cam Scatabo joining the Pharaohs may just be what Patrick Mahomes needs.